Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. So today, of course, the main topic of this video is going to be the good and bad about John McCain, who, as we all know, is a senator that recently passed away. He ran for president a couple times, was in the army, may or may not have been a war hero. You know, the definitions differ apparently between president and most people that we know. But anyways, before we get into that, we're of course going to go over some of the latest news stories. So first, we're going to start off with this. North Korea furious over U.S. cancellation of nuclear talks. Following Friday's announcement that President Donald Trump has canceled the next round of talks over North Korea, Pyongyang on Sunday issued a blistering statement accusing the U.S. of double-dealing and hatching a criminal plot. According to Reuters, the state-run Rodong Sinmun newspaper ran a piece accusing U.S. special units stationed in Japan of staging air drills with the aim of infiltrating their capital. Such acts prove that the U.S. is hatching a criminal plot to unleash a war against the DPRK and commit a crime which deserves merciless divine punishment in the case the U.S. fails in the scenario of the DPRK's unjust and brigandish denuclearization first, read the piece. So, yeah. North Korea thinks we're going to try and start a war with them, and there's a decision that everybody was praising Trump before, now all of a sudden is out the window. You had one job, Trump. Talk with North Korea, make them get rid of their nukes, then we're all happy hunky-dory. It's not that hard. But no, you have to do what the U.S. always does. Tell people to get rid of their weapons and then try and attack them. Look, if the U.S. doesn't attack, that's still going to be kind of a plus. But we're still going to have to acknowledge the fact that we need to, Trump needs to try and make these talks again. Because these were good talks. We were talking with them. South Korea and North Korea officially ended the Korean War. Now all of a sudden, why can't you just be continue that? Make the U.S. and Korea be happy, hunky-dory. I'd love that, wouldn't you? Okay. So, the next story is not necessarily a big political story, but it involves a new media type person. Ben Shapiro proudly declares conservatism nearly crook-free. The handful of anti-Trump conservative intellectuals have found themselves split into two camps, one recognizing the deep rot within their movement, having argued that Republicans need the shock of electoral defeat in order to shake free of the authoritarian and racist elements that have overtaken them. The other faction persists in a state of denial, believing that the few bad apples shouldn't spoil things for the rest of them. Columnist Ben Shapiro is part of the second camp. Shapiro was commenting in the news that I'm trying to find a quote. Here it is. Shapiro's take, because I'm going to attempt to do a Ben Shapiro impression, because I always like to do bad impressions of people in politics. Shapiro's takeaway is that conservatives are unfairly castigated for having so many racists, and instead they should be credited for being extremely diligent at pursuing their ranks of racists and other kooks. Time and again, mainstream institutions on the right have slandered the homes of racism, sexism, and miscellaneous other bigotry. Even when those institutions work out the root of such bigotry, the institutional right, however, spends an ordinary amount of time self-policing when it comes to the policing of boundaries and the political movement. The modern-day conservative movement far outplaces the left. Personally, I just like doing the Ben Shapiro, okay, folks, listen. Honestly, if you don't realize that, single payer healthcare system is a waste of time. And the idea that you would say that a single payer healthcare system would be good because my wife's a doctor. Let's face it, my wife's a doctor because I just like doing that. You've probably seen in my other videos where I would like do like Donald Trump. I'd actually. I mean, if you tried to give me people to do, I probably could try and do it. I mean, especially considering okay, this is gonna be a bit of a thing that make my people go, wait a second, I thought you were a progressive, but I watch a YouTube channel called Freedom Tunes. It's this like libertarian, like this mix of conservative and libertarian like videos, like animated videos by this guy called Seamus. I mentioned him in my Libertarian Party video where he criticized the Libertarian Party, but he like does these like funny videos making fun of left wingers, and I usually will try and be in the comments and be like, actually blah blah blah. But you see, it's like with libertarians, you half agree, half disagree. But anyways, back to Ben Shapiro. And the idea that you would ever try to shift focus away from Ben Shapiro into someone else is a disgrace, because of the fact that I pwn every single liberal that I. Okay, but in all seriousness, Ben Shapiro's like thing where he's like, the conservatism is nearly kook free. No, it's not. No. I mean, that's just not true. Look at a ton of the elected conservatives. Now he might be like, well, why don't you look at all the elected progressives? Are they kooky? Yeah, not really. Not that many elected progressives to begin with, actually. But anyways, there's not much to really say on that regard. So the next story is going to be technically the quote-unquote most interesting of the day, because of certain implications that come with it. Now, you may or may not know that Gary Johnson, 2016 Libertarian candidate, 2012 Libertarian candidate, and 2012 Republican candidate, former Republican governor of New Mexico, he's currently running for Senate to kind of be the swing vote, because the Libertarian Party in New Mexico's candidate dropped out. So then they said, hey Gary, why don't you run? He's like, oh, okay. And he has recently gotten another backer. Here's his new person, that is his new ally. Senator Rand Paul backs a Libertarian candidate in New Mexico. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky is endorsing Gary Johnson's Libertarian campaign in New Mexico's three-way Senate race. Former New Mexico governor and current Libertarian U.S. Senate candidate Gary Johnson picked up the endorsement of Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky on Tuesday in his effort to unseat the incumbent Democrat. Paul shunned Republican nominee Mike Rick, an Albuquerque construction contractor and newcomer to politics, in favor of Johnson, who was elected governor of New Mexico twice as a Republican before running for the presidency in 2012 and 2016 on the Libertarian ticket. Okay, okay, that's really much. Hold on, I was trying to. Oh yeah, here it is. Paul's statement. I was trying to find his statement. His leadership on issues of government overreach, protecting the Americans' Fourth Amendment rights against mass surveillance, and common sense foreign policy is sorely needed, Paul said in his statement. Now, the thing is, there's been a lot of hullabaloo about the Johnson campaign, because, many people are going to see this as kind of a spoiler for the. In fact, actually, many of Johnson's supporters have actually begged the Republican candidate Mike Rick to drop out of the race in favor of having everybody who's there on that side vote for Gary Johnson. Now, Gary Johnson's actually polling at 12 or No. Somewhere in like high enough poll numbers so that he's like a legitimate like candidate. So he's going to be having. So technically, he's out of all the third-party candidates for any elected office that I remember in recent years. He seems to be like really high up, and due to the fact that it's probably due to his notoriety in New Mexico. But like there is the slight chance that this will actually get a third party in the Senate. Now, I kind of wanted to hold off from actually endorsing any candidate before making certain decisions. Now, because I made two endorsements, added two endorsements today, for Senate, when I endorsed the Democratic candidate in Texas, Beto O'Rourke, despite some decisions and things that he had when I was like, ugh. And I decided just today, just fuck it, and just throw my support to Gary Johnson, because, you know, to be perfectly honest, I kind of want another Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura kind of like started out with like a Gary Johnson's political viewpoint, and he still kind of holds that kind of viewpoint, but he kind of like started shifting to the left, like you'll see, because like he's still like supportive of gun rights and other stuff, but he's like takes a sharp left turn in regards to healthcare and environmental protection. Ventura, not Johnson. Johnson, I believe, is the only candidate that I'm currently endorsing that is not in favor of Medicare for all. But I'm mostly endorsing him for the idea of a third party in the Senate and his social issues and the foreign policy issues. Because I'm pretty sure he'll get all those decisions done. And don't get me wrong, like, if Gary Johnson wins the Senate seat of New Mexico, and then in the next election, a Justice Democrat or Green Party member runs to replace him, I'm gonna throw my support to them, unless Gary Johnson decides to fully go like, you know what, I actually support Medicare for all now. Mostly because Heinrich did the whole vote for military spending, like that big military spending bill, which Beto O'Rourke also did. But Beto O'Rourke also, Beto O'Rourke is being endorsed by like tons of individuals that I like look up to, like, you know, like Kyle Kulinski, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I'm like, you know, why not? I mean, it seems very logical. Okay, next one is actually going to be kind of, I pulled up a news article to kind of go through some stuff about it, but like, it's mostly going to be my own thoughts on it. Cynthia Nixon and Andrew Cuomo held a debate for governor. In fact, it's going to be the only debate they have. Which you might think, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. One debate before primary election? But yeah, this is going to be the only debate they have. Now, Cynthia Nixon is, like, I'm supporting her campaign and Howie Hawkins, but, you know, she's not running as a Democrat, so he wasn't invited to this debate, believe it or not. I believe he'll be invited to the general election debate. I say I believe because I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked in the New York, because, like, New York is really weird. They got, like, a ton of parties, and they're all running, like, even though they have, like, let me see, Democrats, Republicans, Green, Independents, Working Families, Women's Equality, Conservative, Reform. Yeah, they have, like, 8 qualified parties, but only 3 people actually, like, run as major candidates, because all the other major parties just endorse another candidate. Conservative and Reform will endorse the Republican, Independents, Working Families, and women's equality will endorse Democrat. The Green Party gets nothing. But that's usually because, New York's got these, strange laws regarding electoral politics, which is one of the major reasons why Joseph Crowley's still running as a working family party person, despite the fact that they've been repeatedly saying multiple times, I'm not gonna run. I don't want him. Crowley is even saying, I'm not running. But anyways, Cynthia Nixon, she pretty much wiped the floor with Cuomo in this debate. I think she's been watching Secular Talk because Secular Talk has been saying, all she has to do is talk about her policies and then point out the fact that her opponent is really corrupt. And, the thing about Cuomo is, he's, this super corporate Democrat, but he's, believes that he's this super uber progressive, one thing that he, usually, there was a bingo card, I forget with the link, because I thought I liked it, so I was going through my likes, but it wasn't there, and I thought I retweeted it, but it wasn't there. But it's do you know who created the Women's Equality Party? Andrew Cuomo. Because of the fact that he's because he just wants to appeal to identity politics, despite the fact that he is just some average white guy. And by some average white guy, I mean a guy who's a white guy whose brother is a newscaster and whose father used to be governor himself, I believe. Yeah, but there's one speech that perfectly exemplifies this.
As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am black. I am gay. I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health and her choices. Because as a New Yorker, we are one community.
Yeah, Andrew, you're all those things. I am 100% sure that you're every single one of those things. But, he was, trying so desperately hard to show, I am the progressive candidate. No, Cynthia Nixon is the corporate Democrat. Cynthia Nixon is the corporate Democrat. Am I right? Am I right, guys? It's proof, please? That was pretty much Cynthia Nixon's response. Proof, please? Proof? There's one time where she literally explains to him, he's will you stop interrupting me? Will you stop interrupting me? You woman! Stop interrupting me, you woman! She's then stop lying. And he's yeah. He literally just said, yeah. Ugh. I don't want to give all this away because this is a 50-minute debate, and there'll be a link, a card or in the description or something. It's just amazing. And I think it'll be a great watch for anybody who, is interested in watching a corporate Democrat fail. Okay, but anyways, now we're going to discuss, before we get into the political party of the day and the main story, first we're going to go over the election results from the August 28th primary. First, we're going to go over the wins, because there were wins for me. I mean, if you're a person with a different political opinion, you might not see these as wins, but whatever, this is my channel, I'll do what I want. So, first we have in Florida's 8th district, Sanjay Patel. He won his district race. So, but he ran unopposed, so it doesn't really matter. Then in the Florida gubernatorial race, we have Andrew Gillum. He was running against a woman who was a former representative whose dad used to be governor or something. I forget what his position was. Oh, and a special shout out to Darcy Richardson, because he even though he technically doesn't participate in the primary, you know, him and Andrew Gilmore are like both like the progressive type people. Oh, and a special shout out to Tim Canova, because he's also in Florida. Now, the last win in for me was Raul Grijalva from the 3rd electoral district, but Raul Grijalva also ran unopposed, because Raul Grijalva is the furthest left congressman, so why would anybody run against him? He's relatively popular, people like him, corporate Democrats like him because they're like, hey, a fat Latino to be our friend. But, I mean, if Raul happens to listen to this, don't be mad. I'm not that thin either. But yeah, anyways, there's also some losses, sadly. The 2 biggest ones first we'll start off with Deidre Abad. She lost to Kirsten Sinema, a Blue Dog Democrat, for Arizona's Senate race. Not the Senate race that you probably might be thinking of. That one's going to be held in 2020. No, wait, no, it's going to be held next year, I believe. But Kirsten Sinema is this super, like, conservative Democrat, despite the fact that people like, she's a super, like, the thing is, the reason why people want to accuse her of being a conservative Democrat is because of 3 things. 1, she's bisexual. 2, she's a woman. And 3, she's technically an atheist. I say technically because, and I also technically should use the term technically for the bisexual part, because she's never really brought any of those up again. She's even explicitly said, it says so explicitly on her Wikipedia page, that she's a non-theist, and she explicitly says to keep it hush-hush. Now, that is not something you really need to try and keep the hush-hush. Personally, if I were in Congress, that would not be a hush-hush. It would be well known. Much like in the same way, Ted Cruz is like, I'm a Christian boy. That was a terrible Ted Cruz impression. I like my bench peer. Oh, Bernie Sanders knows the fact that he is a Jew from Brooklyn. But, and speaking of Jews, the saddest loss for me today, well, August 28th, was in Florida's 9th district, where sadly Alan Grayson lost. Personally, I really do not understand the mentality of the people from Florida District 9. I do not understand their mentality at this point. Darren Soto, congressman since 2016. Alan Grayson, the congressman that tried to become your senator, who has a record, tries to reclaim his seat. Maybe they just didn't want him to reclaim his seat. In my opinion, Alan Grayson, if you happen to listen to this, in my opinion, you need to stop going to the 9th district. Try Senate again. Try the presidency like people wanted you to do in 2012. Video about 2012 Democratic primaries at one point in the future. Because there are a lot of things about the 2012 primaries that you may not think. Like about the fact that there are a million candidates that were running. And how they wanted Bernie Sanders and Alan Grayson, or even Ralph Nader, to run a Democratic primary against Obama, because they were like the progressives, and Obama was not. But Alan, you need to do this. We need you in the White House, man. Okay, a moment of silence to honor our progressive from Florida. Yeah. So, anyways, now to bring the mood up again, let's talk about the party of the day. Oof. Okay. The party we're going to be discussing today is a state-only party. What's a state-only party, you may ask? A party that's in one state. Now, this party is the Liberty Union Party. This political party is a political party founded by former Congressman William H. Mayer, Peter Diamondstone, who is a perennial candidate for multiple Vermont offices, and it was the party of a particular Democratic Socialist person by the name of Bernie Sanders. Like, the party is a anti-capitalist, socialist, anti-interventionist, anti-war, environmentalist party. Like, it's basically a Democratic Socialist Party that was kind of started to be like the Democratic Socialist alternative to the neoliberal policies of the Democratic Party and the neoconservative policies of the Republican Party. And now currently it is the fourth largest political party in Vermont, behind Democrat, Republican, and progressive parties. It was founded in 1970, but merged with the People's Party of Benjamin Spock. We'll get to that in a future video, possibly next week's video, but I'm not entirely sure. You know, college and that kind of stuff might make the video of next week be shorter. It's pretty much just stayed in Vermont, ran a couple of candidates for office. The most recent one is the former Red Sox pitcher Bill Spaceman Lee, who ran for the Liberty Union Party gubernatorial candidate. I can tell you the candidates that they endorsed for office. In 1972, they endorsed Benjamin Spock. In 1976, they endorsed Margaret Wright of the People's Party. Benjamin Spock and Margaret Wright were both of the People's Party. In 1980, they endorsed the Socialist Party USA candidate David McReynolds. In 1984, they endorsed Dennis Surratt of the New Alliance Party. In 1988, they endorsed Willa Kenoyer of the Socialist Party USA. 1992, Lenore Fulani of the New Alliance Party. 1996, Socialist Party USA, Mary Cal Hollins. 2000, David McReynolds of the Socialist Party again. 2004, John Parker of the Workers' World Party. 2008, Brian Moore of the Socialist Party USA. 2012, Stuart Alexander of the Socialist Party USA. And 2016, Gloria Oliva of the Party of Socialism and Liberation. Okay. Now, let's get to the main topic of the video. John Sidney McCain III, to most people, just the senator of Arizona. Because who the heck cares about, who's the other senator of Arizona? Jeff Flake? Who cares about him? He succeeded Barry Goldwater. What an interesting person to come after. He's been in the office since 1987. I can kind of see why we needed term limits. He's been a lifelong Republican, served in the Navy. That's probably where he's best known for. The Navy being captured. Like the thing he's best known for is we'll start off in his history of not in the Senate, but in just history in general. Like his dad and his grandfather were like huge military men, and McCain was just following in their footsteps. McCain had he's best known for one thing, being captured by the Vietnamese, and being tortured, and then having the Vietnamese go, "Oh, you're that rich, we let you go." And he said, "No, let the other prisoners go." And they said, "No, we let you go. We let other prisoners stay here and die. You go free now." And he said, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And they said, "Fine, you stay here forever. Give us information or we cut you." And he said, "Go ahead." And just took it like a boss. I don't like people that were captured. Just drivel. I mean, McCain, I can't really deny that part. I remember reading a biography about McCain, it was like a little bit after the 2008 election, where I called him McCain Plain, because, I misread the... I remember, let me give, just kind of my personal history of McCain back when I was a young kid, didn't know anything about politics. It was just he want Obama because he black. But McCain, he was I always, I remember, the real reason that I would never support John McCain back in 2008, you know what it was? Because I remember hearing in a news story, or reading it in the newspaper or something, that McCain drank beer. And I was like, beer is bad. I would never support anybody who drinks beer. It's man, I was such a cringy little boy. It was a bit of a nightmare. It was, and then these images, because this was the first election where the internet was being a big thing. So that I was seeing a lot of these pictures of John McCain photoshopped to look like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, and Obama photoshopped to look like Mace Windu, because who else would he be? And it was I was funny, ha ha ha, isn't it funny? And seeing photoshopped versions of him in the debates with cross-eyed and his tongue sticking out, it's boy, isn't that funny? But anyways, that was just from my personal history of McCain. And so yeah, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about him really back then. Now, McCain was, of course, he was the big senator of, the big senator from Arizona. People liked him for that. People liked him for his military service. He was, I probably should have had all these articles prepared, because I'm shifting through tons of things to get accurate results of things, because I want to kind of give you a bit of a history lesson of John McCain. I know, a bit boring, but whatever. Okay, because many people remember John McCain from his run in 2008, but many people forget that he also ran in 2000. Much like how people remember Donald Trump running in 2016, but they don't remember him running in 2000. McCain won 7 states. He won Arizona, Michigan, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Yes, I believe those are. I'm pretty sure somebody will correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect. He won 6 million. He won like 6,061,322 votes, like 31.2% of the vote. He was like wildly like, because like the thing about it being a Republican running for office is like you gotta be one of three things: a businessman, a politician, or a soldier. Those will pretty much guarantee you any win in the Republican Party. Either a pre-existing politician, a la George W. Bush, a soldier, a la John McCain, or a businessman, a la Donald Trump. I don't know why I was blanking on him. McCain was people saw McCain as pretty much the only person who could actually, realistically beat, Donald Trump. Realistically actually beat George W. Bush due to McCain's rather popularity, even among Democrats, because of the whole being a soldier thing. He even popularized the term McCain Democrats just because of the fact that many Democrats just liked him. They just liked him because to be kind of interestingly, because he's kind of like got both a conservative and moderate kind of streak. Moderate in some issues, bit of conservative, noticeably conservative in a lot of other issues. He is kind of like, I kind of saw him as like before actually doing more in-depth research, I saw him as like Suzanne Collins and Lisa Murkowski was like the most moderate, and then McCain was kind of in that category. We'll get to why I believe that in a second. I'm pretty sure you probably figured out why already. But McCain, was often he was very during his 2008 election, but run for president, he was again immensely popular amongst Democrats and Republicans, and this time even securing the nomination due to the fact that, his competition was a libertarian, Mitt Romney, and someone else. I don't know who else. Ron Paul tried to stand a chance, but, McCain's just had that whole, being a soldier will guarantee you votes. And not saying these votes weren't well deserved, I don't know. McCain had as a Republican, he's got a mixed score bag for me. He even gained the support of freaking Joe Lieberman. But then again, every conservative can get Joe Lieberman's penis hard. I'm talking about a dead senator and talking about another guy's penis getting hard. What a life. And by the way, if this is one of the episodes that my parents watch, hey, how's it going? But anyways, McCain was 2008 was pretty much the biggest, the first noticeable mistake for McCain. For me, Sarah Palin, obviously. Personally, maybe if he chose a more moderate Republican or even Ron Paul, that'd be kind of decent enough. Yeah. Now, let's get into something about John McCain that is noticeably less talked about by the media, because the media kind of actually also participates in this. But does anybody else notice how McCain, he can shift from being hated to being loved in the blink of an eye? I remember being on the internet when it was first announced that John McCain got his brain tumor. people were like tweeting, like Obama and Hillary Clinton, and like even just some random people were tweeting stuff like, I hope John McCain gets a speedy recovery. And this leads into one of the positive things about McCain. I'll probably have to go over all this again at the end so I can get more streamlined positives and negatives about McCain. But, like, the things that, like, he was like, people were like, oh, McCain, I hope you make a speedy recovery. You know, our prayers are with you. Godspeed, my friend. But then people, like, someone clicked in their head because they're like, wait a minute. Now that John McCain will not be in the Senate when the Obamacare vote happens, now he will be absent from the Senate. So now, they're pretty much begging for John McCain to stay in the hospital so that he wouldn't be able to vote on Obamacare. And then, John McCain decides that he's going to check out of the hospital early just so he can make his vote on Obamacare heard. And people were kind of like, oh, John, you should have just stayed in the hospital. Now you're going to vote against Obamacare and you're going to ruin everything. And then John McCain voted against the repeal of Obamacare. And people were like, oh. Like, he literally went from that to being in a blink of an eye. I've never seen a political figure be seen as like positive and negative so fast. It's just kind of incredible. McCain just went all around. Like, people honestly, they do look at McCain as like, you know, some people look at him more positively than others. Like, and I've even seen like a lot of people like that are on the right be like mad at him. They're like, he was this Republican in name only, this conservative has ruined everything. Now, I guess we're gonna have to get into some... Okay, now this is just gonna be me rattling off positions that John McCain and votes John McCain did and did not do. Like some positions that he had, and, you know, the goods and the bads, because, I mean, the goods and the bads all happen. We all gotta acknowledge McCain had some goods, he had some bads. Personally, as a person on the left, and him being a person on the right, gonna be a bit more negative than positive. Now first, let's acknowledge a positive. Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act. It was the McCain-Feingold Act, which was a campaign finance law promoted by Russ Feingold and John McCain. He was, of course, you know, like, Russ Feingold is, of course, like, a very, like, staunch progressive, but, you know, McCain and him actually expressed a lot of, you know, love and respect for each other. McCain did give this big speech about how he's like, man, I'll miss Russ Feingold now that he's no longer going to be a part of the Senate. Man, I'll miss him. But this was a campaign finance reform bill, and granted, much like Obamacare, was kind of like a band-aid over the bullet hole. But, you know, band-aid over bullet hole is better than nothing over the bullet hole. You know, we all can't deny that's just how it is. We all gotta accept bullet holes, and yeah, I mean, granted, McCain had to obviously go through some bullet holes back when he was in Vietnam, but doesn't gotta worry about that anymore. R.I.P., good sir. Even though I don't really believe in saying R.I.P. But yeah. But anyways, back to other positions. Like, still gonna go over some more positives first. McCain had a bit of a more left-ish streak on gay marriage. I say a bit more because, well, I mean, he was like kind of more for gays than his contemporaries, like his other guys. But, you know, he also, like whenever there would be an anti-gay bill, he'd put his name on it. But if there was also some kind of pro-gay bill, he'd express support for it, but probably not vote for it. But he did kind of mellow out, especially after the gay marriage thing. I will say, any Republican that full out admitted, like, after the gay marriage Supreme Court case, if they just flat out admitted, like, yep, we lost, next, McCain at least did that. I'll give him credit for that. He did do that. Like, well, this issue is done. It was decided next. And he did express support for transgender military people. Like, but it's kind of like a little late to the game, but fine, whatever. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the team of being pro-gay people. I will also say his, like, you know, this is something that people have been expressing more and more, but, like, his demeanor was more, nice. Like, I mean, you know, I hate people trying to do that, like, back in my day, the Republicans were nice people. Like, I will just have to say that is how John McCain was. Like, whenever people would try to say, like, Obama's this Muslim Kenyan who was super, socialist, and then McCain would just be like, no, man, you got it all wrong. Obama's a nice guy. I just happen to have political disagreements with him. You know, you just gotta accept that this isn't true. It's lies. I'm not gonna campaign on lies. I'm gonna campaign on issues. I mean, I gotta give him props for that. Now, let me think. Are there any other positives? Oh, trying to keep Obamacare. I already went in detail over that. What's another thing? Oh, it says here he tried to offer, like, McCain was also like, he was also in favor of a lot of immigration reforms that would be beneficial to my end. That came out wrong. I mean, like from my side of the political spectrum, stuff that he says, I'd kind of like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, giving more citizenship, man. Giving more, like, keeping DACA people in there. And, like, I guess another thing I can say is that he was kind of like the resistance. Like, at the resistance, he was technically more of a, no, I wouldn't say more of a resistor, more of a like, he was pretty much the same as Democrats in regards to being the resistance. They would call out Trump, but then do some things that Trump might be, like, complete agreement with. I guess that is just, I guess that's it, though. To be perfectly honest, I guess that's it. That's all the nice things I gotta say about McCain. Now it's time to bring in some of the unfortunate negatives. One, he voted against the military. Not military. He voted against Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Yeah, that's something that actually happened. During the vote that was going to make Martin Luther King Jr. Day an official federal holiday, John McCain voted against it. Oh, no, wait. I just remembered. This is a very bad structure in regards to podcast, but I literally just remembered another thing that was good for John McCain. I gotta give him props for this. I gotta 100% give him props for this because this ties into when I was beginning to talk about John McCain. The torture. He was adamantly against torture. I gotta give him props for that. Every single Republican was like for torture, but John McCain would adamantly be against it because of the fact that he was tortured. You got to acknowledge that. It's the same thing with Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura was, or I'm not sure if he was, but he was in the military. He knows how torture tactics work. And that's how, Jesse Ventura would probably be a bit more crass and say some stuff like, why don't you let me torture you? Come on. You scared? John McCain knew what it was like to be tortured, and even when Fox News were trying to be like, but you can't deny it. We gotta torture these people. He's like, no, don't torture people. That's not nice. Okay, back to negative. I was talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But again, another one in regards to military. He never met a war he didn't like. He seemed to be non-interventionist at the beginning of his Senate career, but over time he grew more and more interventionist, even saying like we can't let the small mistake of Vietnam cloud how our military judgment should work. It's like, no, McCain, that's not how it works. Vietnam was not just a mistake. Well, I mean, technically it was a mistake, but it was a mistake that cost hundreds of people death. But, like, another thing, he's super for the draft. Like, he was adamantly for the draft. He is, like, the draft is legitimately a big thing that he's supportive of. But due to the fact that he's been like the draft, he loves it because he's like uses his like military background to be like, well, yeah, the military doesn't have a lot of people, so we gotta, draft them. It's like, no. This is a big no-no. Another bad for him, he voted for the Patriot Act. Again, forgot about that. He is, like, you can't deny, like, the Patriot Act is a bad thing, and he voted for it. He put his name on the bill and said yes. It's like, what? Why? Why would you be for this? He also kind of was for... He was also pretty much like for the military, like super military. Although one thing I do have to give, like, this is like less of a criticism about John McCain, more of criticizing about the media. But the media has been like politicizing John McCain and like saying like, oh, he's the super against Trump. Like, he's like pretty much an honorary member of the resistance due to the fact that how much he hates Donald Trump. He may have hated Donald Trump as a person, but he did not hate his politics. He voted with Trump a whopping 83% of the time. He was granted, like a lot of these votes recently, he just didn't vote because of the fact that he was, dying. Not to make a joke or anything, but he was legitimately dying. he was like he kind of been like he was for the Syrian civil war. He took pictures with terrorists. Like, he literally took pictures with terrorists. I mean, he may have believed that they were freedom fighters or something, but, well, he pretty much just, he was like, he ranked higher than most others on the environmental bill, like on environmental stuff, but he was super, like most Republicans, he was just, no environment, please. Like, it wasn't, they were like, I mean, he pretty much was like, like, kind of okay on social issues, on economics and environment, just throw it out the window, kind of like a libertarian in a sense, but, I mean, like, the thing is, John McCain's not gonna be, in my favorite senators list anytime soon, per se. Also, he was like super anti-abortion, but then again, he was a Republican. What do you expect? Against funding of sex education. But yeah, I mean, he also, he was, he's a part of mandatory sentencing. So yeah, I mean, pretty much what I'm trying to say is, you know, McCain is good as a person, I would say, but on a politician wise, I would not be putting him in anywhere near my favorites anytime soon. Like, I mean, unless you were to tell me, like, put him in, like, your favorite modern-day Republicans, he'd be somewhere up there. I mean, he's got, like, the only three that I can see overtopping him in that regard are, like, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski. But then again, like, there's not much, like, I mean, McCain, there's not much to really continue saying about him. I guess I could rate him, but he'd just be like 5 out of 10, or maybe 6 out of 10 personality wise. No. I'd have to there's not, yeah, I'm stumbling with words, but there's pretty much nothing else to say about John McCain. Kind of, like, I guess, again, it would be a report card to where I could give him a rating. D minus? Yeah, I guess that's all I can really give him, a D minus or a D. But then again, most Republicans get an F from me, and most corporate Democrats also get an F or a D minus. So yeah, there's not much to that. For a Republican, D minus is pretty good. So, I guess I could say R.I.P. John McCain. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video mine comes out. And if you're interested in more political content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Quora. What's your opinions on John McCain? Leave a comment below. Or leave a question so I could answer it in a possible Q&A in the future.